Well, it's great to see everyone. It is great to see the smiles out here, isn't it? Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here. And today I'm going to talk about creativity. It's really interesting. This morning I woke up and I had a flash. And I went, oh, I got it. I finally got what creativity is. Creativity is this mystical dance. And an earlier metaphysician by the name of Judge Troward said there's a reciprocity. There's this reciprocity. I give, I take. Spirit gives, Spirit takes. And it's kind of like the law of circulation. But it's speaking to God. It's God speaking to us. That's what creativity is. So I'll go into a little more. And there is a difference. Creation usually means creating something out of nothing, where creativity means that you are this co-creator. You're using curiosity. It's like, oh wow, I really like that. You know, you're interested in something and then all of a sudden you see it everywhere. Because you have said, I like that, and Spirit is responding to you and bringing you more of it. So curiosity and imagination, we use our mind, which is God's mind, and we imagine, oh, I'd really like to have that in my home, or I'd really like to do that as a profession. And guess what? The universe rushes in to help you, support you in that. So it's a dance. It's a dance of giving and receiving. And, you know, as a minister, I create my talks based on what I'm curious about. And so today, it's great. Oh, and thank you, Odie, for some of your ideas. Because when you decide on a topic, people show up in your life. And they show up with ideas and especially their ideas of creativity. Deepak Chopra, who, you know, is an American writer, he has a book that's called The Book of Secrets. He said, never forget that you are not in the world is in you. Creation is set up to bring you constant hints and clues about your role as the co-creator. So we use this creative power. It doesn't need to be urged or coaxed. It's God's nature. It's Spirit's nature, just to act creatively upon the images, the thoughts we have, or the words we speak. Nona Brooks, I don't know if you're familiar with Nona Brooks. She's an early, also, I think she may have, what was it? Divine Science, that's it. She was one of the co-founders of Divine Science, and she said, we are the only arms that God has. So we're the ones, we're reaching out, we're the ones that are active for God. But first, a couple little stories. A story from Genesis. On day 4 of creation, God was busy putting up all the celestial bodies. He, or she, or it, or whatever you want, made the earth, a fertile earth, and its moon, and went around creating all the different planets of the solar system. And he made Saturn, and he looked upon it. And as he examined it, he was taken aback. He realized it was very, very good. He decided he liked it, so he put a ring on it. I mean, this kind of ring, well, you're a hard man. Some of you know who Beyonce is. And most of you know Mark Twain, the American writer. He said, you believe in a book that has talking animals, wizards, witches, demons, sticks turning into snakes, burning bushes, food falling from the sky, people walking on water, and all sorts of magical things. And you say that we're the ones that need help. do think the Bible is creative, and maybe some of the authors in the Bible were a little too generous with poetic license. But back to religious science. Ernest Holmes, our founder, he said, creation means the giving of form to the substance of mind. There's nothing for it to change into but itself, because everything is God. He said the infinite of itself is formless, but within it are contained all the forms which give expression to its consciousness. And we all know spirit can't work for us except by working through us. He also said, God is forever doing new things. And when we conceive of new ideas, it's an act of the divine projecting itself onto creation. I like this. He says, it's really cute. He says, there are no flying machines until mankind made them. Spirit did not have a lot of little flying machine models put away in the cosmic cupboard. Yeah. The same for computers or spaceships or elevators or escalators. You know, the universe is forever creating, and it's creating through us. So this is that reciprocity, give and take. He said, we have the mind of Christ, which means each one of us has immediate access to the intelligence of the universe. So we don't create the universe, the universal laws, we use them. We set these laws in motion. And spirit never rests. Creation never stops. You know, I know the Bible says in the beginning, well, and the beginning and beginning and beginning. Beginnings go on forever. It never stops. And I know I talked about quantum physics in the past. I just wanted to remind you that when we put our attention on something, we create more of it on a quantum level, because we have the power to change a possibility, a wave, to a particle. And the particles then come together and manifest. So, creativity. Years ago, when I was a student, I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I used to listen to a man named Alan Watts. He was on the radio every Sunday morning. And he was like my first guru. You know, I was young, and he was so interesting. He's an American Zen Buddhist. He said, it's interesting that Hindus, when they speak of the creation of the universe, do not call it the work of God. They call it the play of God. And they look upon the whole manifestation of all the universes as a play, as a sport, as a dance. Yes. And you know, Albert Einstein said creativity is intelligence having fun. You know, the Wright brothers developed the first flying machine. But there's a story that there was a second team. There was another team that was funded by a major car company, and they hired the best scientists and the best engineers. So why did the Wright brothers beat out this other team? Because they were having fun. And they were having so much fun that it was infectious. And it is said that the people in the neighborhood really enjoyed just having fun with them and working with them. And so materials would just show up. Whatever they needed would show up for their flying machine. So I am reminded of the saying that we're here for the delight of God. This is an interesting quote I found on the internet. This is an American performer named Michael Jackson. And he said, consciousness expresses itself through creation. This world we live in is the dance of the Creator. Dancers come and go in the twinkling of an eye, but the dance lives on. On many an occasion when I'm dancing, I have felt touched by something sacred. In those moments, I felt my spirit soar and become one with everything. The Creator and the creation merge into one joy. I keep on dancing and dancing and dancing until there is only the dance. Michael Jackson.
That was good.
So what is the most expensive real estate in the world? It's not Manhattan or Saudi Arabia. It's graveyards. Because it's filled with businesses never launched, relationships never reconciled, unwritten novels. You know, creativity can be exciting and fun, but it also has anxieties and frustrations and dead ends and blocks, writer's blocks and failures. But do it anyway. Do it anyway. Don't die until you get the dance out. Discover your talents, your calling, your creative urge, and give it away. Now, I'm sure most of you recognize this. Several years ago,
Tower of Pizza.
it's a model of the Eiffel Tower. And years ago, 8 years ago, I took my daughter to Paris, and this is synonymous with Paris and maybe even France, but it wasn't always so. Back in 1889 exposition, there was a contest a couple years before that, and they were looking for something to build for this contest. And that date marked the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution. So, Monsieur Eiffel and his bridge building engineers entered, and they won. They won the contest. So this Iron Lady, which is made out of wrought iron, is over 330 meters high, which is 1,083 feet. As a bridge builder, Monsieur Eiffel created the tower based on mathematical principles. He and his engineer friends were not considered artists. So guess what the people of Paris did? They criticized him. They said, oh, it's a skeleton. It's a tragic street lamp. Oh, it's a pyramid, a skinny pyramid of iron ladders. It's a carcass, and on and on and on. And you know, Parisians to this day, they still joke about it. You know, in French, it's Le Tour Eiffel. They put an S in there, so it's Le Tour Eiffel, which means tower of string. You know, so they still make jokes about Monsieur Eiffel and his tower. But, you know, he said, for my part, I believe that the tower will possess its own beauty. Are we to believe that because one is an engineer, one is not preoccupied by beauty in one's constructions? Or that one does not seek to create elegance as well as solidity and durability? You know, and it was supposed to be torn down after 20 years. This was a temporary thing, but it's still there, and it has its own beauty. And if you've been there, now it's lit up at night, and it's just so gorgeous. So creativity is in every profession. It's in every word we speak. You know, most people, they say, well, they're not an artist unless you're a performing arts. You're a singer, a composer, a piano player, you know. The rest of us are not expected to be inspired. We have routines for social activities, and we have home and life work, and you might say, yeah, we kind of avoid inspiration, but routine does not make for happiness. Yeah, I think it was Emerson who said, routine is like a hobgoblin. If conforming is a hobgoblin, and you have to step up. You have to show what you're interested in. So when I was little, when I was in kindergarten, I loved finger painting. I'm sure we all did. You know, we get to put our hands in it, and I used to always do the same picture, which was to paint a blue sky and put little white clouds in it. I thought it was so amazing. And later, you know, teachers would tell me, well, and I'm very good. And I'm very creative, you know, and I believed them. So, and my parents told me, well, you can't take art or music, you have to stay with science and math, you know, you've got to make a living. And,
Say that to Michael Jackson.
you know, so again, I believed them. But as a lawyer, I learned ways of being creative in ways that we negotiate. You know, most lawyers win-lose. No, I always practice win-win. When you can collaborate with someone else, you've got their ideas and your ideas, and you create something even greater. That's creativity. That's creating another path of doing business. Mind of God is equally indwelling in everyone. You know, I may not know as much as somebody else, but I have the same inspirational capacity as everybody else. Do you have awe for the creativity of the universe? You know, blue skies and little white fluffy clouds still leave me in awe. Did any of you see a video this week about this gorilla named Vanilla? Yeah, that was amazing. What happens is she has been in a cage in a research facility for 28 years. And they bring her out into the sunshine, and she hugs the first chimpanzee, and she looks up at the sky, and I swear, you watch the video, she goes, wow. I mean, her mouth, wow. It's like, you know? And this last week in my garden, I have had this cactus kind of pushed to the side because it's been out there for 8 years, and I'm not a real fan of the pricklies. Last week, it bloomed. It bloomed, and the blossom was this big from this scrawny little cactus. It was like amazing, and I was totally amazed. You know, I'm in awe. Have you ever gone out and walked like in the sequoias, or you walk in the pines, or cottonwood or aspen? You know, it's like, are those average trees? No, every tree is special. Every tree, they're unique. They're an amazing act of creation. And that's who you are. You are an amazing, I look out at you and it's like, wow, look at God in this amazing disguise. Just so amazing. You're not average. Just remember that. You don't have to be an artist to be an artist of your life. And just remember, you know, that may not be your gift to be an opera singer. Your gift is something else. Find out who you are. Really know who you are and give that gift away. Just remember, you're one with God. And, you know, sometimes we have a hard time listening because we have this inner critic. It's a misguided helper. It's trying to keep you from, you know, publicly being ashamed or disgraced. Like at piano recitals, you know, we had to do that. But at the same time, it's drowning out the voice of creation inside of you. You have to be aware and listen. Here it is. Emerson said, whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. Do something a little different this week. Don't be a character in somebody else's play. You know, we live in this machine age, and so we get kind of automated. We have routines. But being efficient is dull. So remember, also, we can create positive as well as creating negative. We have that ability. So we can create happiness as well as sadness or loneliness. We can create love as well as hatred. All these things, we have this ability. We are amazing. You are a creator. And just remember, your creations may not be big or little or fat or thin or Don't put a value on. Don't try to compare them to anybody else's. Your creativity is your creativity. Just remember, we're all growing, we're all expanding, we're evolving, and we are made in the image and likeness of the infinite thinker that is thinking the new every second. The divine is seeking expression by means of you. So I talked about, the topic was spiritual practice. So what can you do to practice creativity? You can find something to do every day that might increase your creativity. At the end of the day, be conscious of what you put into motion and what is manifesting in your life. Be awake, be aware. Look at what you've created, your home, your clothing, your car, your friends, your job. Look at that and appreciate what you have and give yourself permission to create new, outside the box. Ernest Holmes says, the divinity within us stirs our imagination, and because of its insistent demand, which you mentioned, this is pushing on us, impels and compels our growth. It is back of every invention. It proclaims itself through every creative endeavor and will. When permitted, create a new world in which war, poverty, sickness, and famine will have disappeared. You have the means to make heaven, earth, and earth heaven. So, in conclusion, say with me, new ideas are mine.
New ideas are mine.
I accept them.
I accept them
And express them.
and express them.
And so it is.
And